on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
We're back, News and Talk 1380 WAOK. I'm Lorraine Jock White, and we have a very, very special guest in the studio with us now. You know, a little while ago, we shared with you an interview from Channel 46 that a young lady by the name of LaDonna Williams had done, as she told her story about what had happened to her in Clayton County. I want you to hear this interview again, and then we'll proceed from there.
An employee with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office says she was fired because she refused to participate in a sexual affair.
Now, this story started developing last week when a Clayton County deputy was indicted on felony charges for videotaping another employee in the bathroom. Well, tonight we're hearing from the woman who reported the videotaping. She's talking with CBS Atlanta's Wendy Saltzman. The woman claims she was sexually harassed and fired.
Well, the woman who made those claims is LaDonna Williams. She says Deputy Parks made sexual advances at her, and she reported the harassment to Internal Affairs. She also told investigators Parks had taped another employee in the bathroom. Parks was indicted, but she's still on the job. Williams says she was fired because she wouldn't take part in sex games at the sheriff's office.
The chief of staff told me that that was the only reason why I was hired there is because Sheriff Kimbrough wanted me there.
LaDonna Williams says she has nothing to hide. She admits she should never have been hired at the Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
He told me he was going to pay for my GED.
The high school dropout tells us Sheriff Kimbrough paid for her GED with county funds.
He heard that I had failed the test, to my knowledge, and I was still allowed to work there. I had failed my NCIC, my GCIC.
Even after failing, she was still given a job. Weeks later, the advances began.
He gave me a card saying, this is my personal number if you need me right away.
This Internal Affairs complaint says the sheriff's deputy, Alicia Parks, also allegedly started sending Williams nude pictures, and then
she grabbed my breast in public. I got very angry behind that. Next thing I know, she's asking me, well, would you have sex with both of us?
The both of us, according to this Internal Affairs report, was Parks and Sheriff Kimbrough. Williams then filed a complaint of sexual harassment, and she also told investigators Parks videotaped another employee in the bathroom. Parks' only discipline? A letter of reprimand. Williams lost her job.
I was fired simply because I did not have a threesome, between Sheriff Kimbrough and Deputy Parks.
I want to talk to you about LaDonna Williams. She says she was fired because she wouldn't have a threesome with you.
That is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't have time to talk to you about that.
That is from Channel 46, an interview that LaDonna Williams did. Now, today in the studio with us, we have LaDonna's father, Mr. Donald Williams, who wants to tell his story about what has happened to him and his family after LaDonna did this interview. How they have been harassed, they have been followed. So much, it's gotten so bad that they ultimately had to leave Clayton County, where they have lived all of their. When we return, you will hear this sitting on the edge of your seat account from Mr. Donald Williams of all that his family has gone through in Clayton County, followed. Lights cut off, water cut off, utilities cut off, and they were paid. All kinds of things you are not going to believe. And Mr. Donald Williams is going to tell you in his own words. He said to me, Miss White, I haven't said a thing about all of this. He said, I've been quiet long enough. Now it's time for me to speak. This is an exclusive interview with Mr. Donald Williams. He has not spoken anywhere else. But this morning, Mr. Donald Williams will tell us on Power Talk. We have the father of LaDonna Williams, Mr. Donald Williams, the woman in Clayton County who says she was fired because she refused to be involved in a threesome with the Clayton County Sheriff Kimbrough. And this morning in the studio with an exclusive, never been told before, he's never spoken before, LaDonna's father, Mr. Donna Williams, on Power Talk. We're News and Talk 1380, WAOK 404-892-2703. We're News and Talk 1380 WAOK. It's 822. And you just heard on the interview we played from Channel 46, Miss LaDonna Williams alleges that she was asked to participate in a threesome with the Clayton County Sheriff Kimbrough and another employee there. And LaDonna's father, Mr. Donna Williams, is in the studio with us to tell us what has happened to his family as a result of LaDonna being on Channel 46. Mr. Williams, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Mr. Williams, tell us what has happened to your family.
First of all, I just want to just thank you for having me here. And what I just want to give you all just a little background of my family history and everything. My wife and I have been married for 30 years. God has blessed me as a man to be in my kids' life every day of their life. So I've been there since birth, and I'm there now. You got to understand that this was my daughter's first job, her very first job. She was excited about it. She wanted to grow in it, and she was looking for the people in office or the people in higher office to help her, to just guide her through as what we should do anyway when we got higher position. When she got this position and everything, everything just went sideways. When the case came out, she was telling us stuff about it and everything, and we was talking to her about it, and when she finally hit the air with it, that's when our lives just really just turned. Everything just turned for the worse. Mind you that we never had any problems with the law. Never had any problems with the law. And it was just too much of a coincidence that every time we go somewhere, Clayton County Sheriff's Department are there. They came to my home.
What did they come to your home for?
They came to my home to serve a warrant on somebody by the name of Dave. They snatched on my garage door. They had an officer at the back, the front door, and one in the garage. When I opened the door, they says, "Well, where's Dave?" I said, "Sir, I don't know Dave live here."
This is after LaDonna did the interview.
This is after the interview.
Okay.
After the interview. Hands was on guns, made me step back into the house. My 2-year-old grandbaby at the time was sitting there. They had no paperwork. He had a binder with some writing on it. He asked for my identification. My daughter is the one who brought it down there to them. And when she brought it to him, she knew them. She called them out by name. She said, "What is this?" The officer took my identification, wrote all my information down off my license onto that binder that he had. They didn't have a warrant, a picture, or anything, or anybody.
After LaDonna did the interview.
This is after. Hands was on guns, made me step back into the house. My 2-year-old grandbaby at the time was sitting there. They had no paperwork. He had a binder with some writing on it. He asked for my identification. My daughter is the one who brought it down there to them. And when she brought it to him, she knew them. She called them out by name. She said, "What is this?" The officer took my identification, wrote all my information down off my license onto that binder that he had. They didn't have a warrant, a picture, or anything, or anybody, of anyone. No apologies,
So they found out that this Dave person did not live there? Or?
Right. After they looked at my identification, I thought maybe they was going to just give it back and say, sorry, sir, wrong place. But they didn't. He wrote everything down, stepped outside the door, sat in front of my house for a while, ran my information. I guess he was trying to find something on me at the time and everything. And then my son was being followed. If my daughter and son went somewhere, Clayton County Sheriff Department was there. If my wife went somewhere, Clayton County Sheriff Department was there.
Not stopping them or talking to them, just where they could see them.
Right. They would pull up beside them, and sit there and watch them. And like I'm saying, it's just too much of a coincidence. But us never having any problem with the law until this story here came out. You got to excuse me, I get kind of.
That's all right. Take your time. I understand. That's okay. I know it's been pain for your family. That's okay. Take your time. I understand. I know it's been painful, and it's okay, sir. That's all right. Just take your time.
Just last night, my daughter's been going through so much. But right now, you got to excuse me.
That's all right. That's all right. What we'll do is we'll take a break, sweetheart, and then we'll come back. I understand. That's okay. We're talking with Mr. Donald Williams, who wanted to come up. He said he hadn't spoken out in this case, and he said as a father, a strong father, it was time for him to say something, to speak up on his daughter's behalf. And I applaud him for getting the strength to speak up, to tell what they have been going through, being followed. And you know how if you show up somewhere and there's a police sitting there, not saying anything to you, but intimidating you, just letting you know we're watching you, not saying it, but if everywhere you go you see a police car, and this didn't happen before and it's all of a sudden happening now, something in the milk ain't clean. So he's here to tell his story. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and hear the rest of Mr. Williams' story. I'm Lorraine Jock White on News and Talk 1380 WAOK, and we appreciate Mr. Donald Williams coming forth to tell his story. This family had to move from Clayton County. We'll return to News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Another minute, not an hour, another day, but at this moment.
AOK.
Mr. Donald Williams is our very special guest this morning with an exclusive interview you will hear only on Power Talk and News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Mr. Donald Williams is the father of LaDonna Williams. And LaDonna Williams is the young lady featured on the interview on Channel 46, where she talks about what she was asked to participate in a threesome with the Clayton County Sheriff, Sheriff Kimbrough, and another employee there. And after that interview, then all of these things that Mr. Donald Williams is telling us about this morning began to happen to him and his family. Mr. Williams, please continue.
I just wanted to continue to say that when my daughter went on the air and aired this story, it was so much harassment coming from the sheriff's department. To her and her friend was just walking down the street. The sheriff's department pulled up, arrested my daughter and her friend for loitering, and they were walking. Now, my daughter stayed in jail 3 days. When we went and got our daughter out of jail, all her information had been erased off her phone. They had my daughter in the same jail that she worked at. She had to take showers in front of the male officers.
Take showers in front of the male officers?
They did not seclude her and put her in another area. So some of the officers and everything that she worked around and everything was able to see her body. It was so humiliating. When she got out, she just broke straight down. as a father, I'm still angry. I'm so angry with the sheriff of Clayton County. I'm angry with the people who allowed him to do this, and that still allow him to do this kind of stuff to people and everything. It's just, it's sad. It is so sad that when we get in positions, people of color, the first thing we want to do is prey on the young girls that's out here.
Well, now, when she got out of jail, did she go back to work?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did they fire her?
She was already fired.
Okay.
When they locked her up.
And why did they say they fired her?
They say they fired her. It was just a number of things. We took it to a couple of people. We took it to Elgin Bell. We took it to the Department of Labor. Could nobody understand exactly what was the reason why she was fired? She was strictly fired because she told about what went on up in the Clayton County Sheriff Department. Again,
we tell everybody this all happened after that interview on Channel 46.
After the interview on Channel 46. She couldn't get no kind of unemployment or anything. Right now, she's having a hard time finding a job. I feel as though she's been blackballed. It's not always what you know, it's who you know. She's recognized places that she goes and everything, and I just don't get it. Right now, my daughter's we admitted her last night to the Fed Community Hospital for mental stress. They're holding her on a mental thing for 72 hours.
Because she is not able to deal
with what's going on now. She's having a hard time financially taking care of her daughter. She's having a hard time mentally taking care of her daughter. All that responsibilities have been laid to my wife and I and her brother to make sure that my grandbaby is going to be taken care of. We're praying for her. My church is praying for her. And it's just too much. It is just too much for a 21-year-old. Mind you, she was only 19 years old when she started working there. She was still a baby. And what people fail to realize is that Kimbrough himself took her to fill out the application. Deputy Alicia Parks came to our house a number of times to pick her up, hitting her blue lights in the driveway, you know. And I told my daughter, I said, listen, I said, ain't no way in the world somebody just gonna bypass their job to come pick you up in a police car.
Why do you think they were doing that?
I think everything was leading up to what happened. That's my honest opinion when you look back on it. When you look back on everything, you know, kind of, I guess they say hindsight is 20/20.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying that one night your daughter received a telephone call from an officer?
Yes, she received a phone call from an officer. He wanted to meet with her and just speak with her, you know, to see how she was doing and everything. And so we got in the car and took her.
So you decided you should take her?
Right, right. I mean, we have actually kept her with us, you know, everywhere we go.
To make sure she's safe.
Make sure she's safe. So we took her there, and when we got there, it was like 3 Clayton County Sheriff's cars already there at the restaurant.
And you thought that she was going to meet with one officer?
With one officer.
And there were 3?
It was 3 police cars there, sheriff's cars that was already there.
I guess that kind of made you think, what's going on here?
Right. So what I did, when she went in, I got out, and I just went to the window to look. I recognized one of the officers that had came to my home. And after she sat in there for a few minutes and everything, we got back in the car. I sat there in the car, you know, because they came out exactly when she came out.
You're saying the police officers got out of their car?
Well, actually, the police officers came out of the restaurant.
Oh.
When she came out of the restaurant.
After the meeting?
After she met with whoever she wanted to meet with, and they came out behind her, and I guess they wanted to see which vehicle she was getting in. And so my wife was like, well, you going to pull off? I said, no. I'm going to see if they going to pull off. And they didn't. She went in, I got out, and I just went to the window to look. I recognized one of the officers that had came to my home. And after she sat in there for a few minutes and everything, we got back in the car. I sat there in the car, because they came out exactly when she came out.
You're saying the police officers got out of their car?
Well, actually, the police officers came out of the restaurant.
Oh.
When she came out of the restaurant.
After the meeting?
After she met with whoever she wanted to meet with, and they came out behind her, and I guess they wanted to see, which vehicle she was getting in. And so my wife was like, well, you going to pull off? I said, no. I'm going to see if they going to pull off. And they didn't move, and I didn't move. So I finally decided to move. So when I moved, they moved with me. I had an officer on my left, an officer on my right, and one behind me. I made it to I-75 North, and I got out of Clayton County's jurisdiction.
So now has the harassment stopped now, because you ultimately moved from Clayton County?
Yes, we had to move from Clayton County because of the harassment. Now we don't, we go through Clayton County to go to church, but that's it. I don't visit my friends. I don't, make it my business to go to my old barber or anything like this right here, because I'm kind of scared to be recognized as her father. We've actually changed vehicles.
Now you said, and there were times when your utilities were cut off and you had paid the bill. When you called them, they couldn't tell you why they were cut off.
Right. We had moved from one house to another because of the harassment. So yes, we had a past due balance of the last house that we was paying for with this house, which was just a little bit over $300. The bill wasn't due until the next month. We had just moved into the house. We're downstairs, my wife cooking breakfast. We're eating breakfast, and all of a sudden the ceiling fan goes off, the lights goes off, the television, everything turns off. We steps outside, and Georgia Power's out there. And so we're like, hey, what's the problem? The only thing this guy said was, I'm just doing what I was told.
That's what the utility worker said to you?
Yes, and got in his truck and left.
We're News and Talk 1380 WAOK. We'll return with our exclusive interview with Mr. Donald Williams, and we'll find out if the harassment has now stopped. On News and Talk 1380 WAOK, I'm Lorraine Jock White.
404-892-2703 on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
We're News and Talk 1380 WAOK 852 on Power Talk, and Mr. Donald Williams is our very special guest. He is the father of LaDonna Williams, and LaDonna Williams is the young lady who alleges that she was asked to participate in a threesome with Clayton County Sheriff Kimbrough and another officer who worked for the sheriff's department. And Mr. Williams had never said anything at all on behalf of his daughter, but he said, it's time for me to talk. And so he has given us this exclusive interview this morning. Mr. Williams, we thank you for coming, and please tell everybody in the listening audience, what has the harassment stopped?
The harassment has stopped since we moved out of the county. Okay, but some of our business is still in the county, so we got to kind of like slip in and slip out, because it's like we kind of paranoid now. After everything that's been going on, my daughter's hair has fell out. She's going through this stress thing, and we have to pray for her. We have to deal with this, and just kind of guide her through this and everything like this right here. And if I just may say, I want to urge anyone in the sheriff's department that knows about this conduct and everything to please come forward. You would have to come forward, You know, I understand some of you all, you know, you think about, you know, losing your jobs and your income and everything like this right here. But this kind of behavior have to stop. It has to stop. People of high authority shouldn't act like this. You shouldn't act like this and everything. And preying on these young girls and everything like this right here, it's crazy. I mean, it's just really crazy. And as the father of LaDonna Williams, I applauded her, you know, for coming forward. You know, we always taught our kids, you know, you speak up when something ain't right. You speak up, and I applaud her for coming forward. But she's paying the consequences for it, for coming forward.
Well, I want to thank you for being willing to speak out on behalf of your daughter. It's been painful, I can tell, for your family, and now your daughter's still not dealing well with this, and she'll probably maybe need to have counseling of somebody that she was able to talk with her. And I can understand you being paranoid and going in and out of Clayton County. And until this kind of is resolved, you probably, if you have to go there, you go during the day. Right. And I understand that, to protect your family and to keep your family safe. And I'm just going to be in prayer with you that God will keep you all and protect you. It's not right for anyone to have to experience this kind of harassment. It's not right. It's absolutely not fair. And you have stood up, father and husband, as a man should, to protect your family. And I just want to thank you. I'm just so sorry. I just can't imagine, trying to sleep at night when you were in Clayton County, trying to go to the grocery store, Mrs. Williams, and concerned if your daughter drives, when she drives somewhere, whether she's going to be followed. It's just not fair. And like you said, if there are people who have been experiencing this kind of harassment and intimidation, they need to come forward. And so I want to thank you again so much for coming. And, if you ever need to tell your story again, just give us a call and we'll bring you back. I'm glad the harassment has stopped. Going in and out of Clayton County, you've moved, and everything's going to be all right. God can turn the situation around. It was wonderful to hear that both of you have a good church and a lot of supporting community who know what you've been experiencing, the harassment and the pressure on your family. There are others who know all about this, and today you have told thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. So we will continue to monitor the situation with you. And if you ever need just a community support for protests or whatever, just call, because, I know some good people that love a good fight. And I know he's listening to me now. That will back me up and come down there and do whatever or wherever we need to go to support this cause. But it's going to be all right. Just know that. And you're a strong dad. We need more men like Mr. Donald Williams today. A husband, been married 30 years, and with his family, with all of his children, and supporting them, taking care of them, and standing up as father and husband today for his family. You can't get any better than that. Thank you, Mr. Donald Williams. We'll return, and the lines will be open for your comments on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. I'm Lorraine Jock White, 404-892-26.